guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. I hope you guys are doing good. Today I'll be doing some long full set. This set came out super cute, so just stay tuned and you'll see how I do everything step by step. So as you guys already know my process, I go in first and I prep the nails using my cuticle bit, making sure I'm going around the side walls, the cuticle, getting all that excess cuticles off. You do not have to use a cuticle bit, but for me I do. I don't always do it on every client though. It depends on the client's nail, how much excess cuticles they have, but for the most part I do use it. And if you're scared to get close to the cuticle with your sanding band, this is a very good option for you. Now I'm going to switch over to my fine sanding band and I'm going to prep the rest of the nail. Going from the right to the left, I'm going to go over the surface very gently, making sure I remove all the shine from the natural nail. You want to make sure you remove the shine from the natural nail, that way you don't have lifting. 95 or 80, between 80 to 95% of your lifting comes from your prep, so you want to make sure you take the time out to prep your client's nail. I am prepping the nail at 4,000 to 5,000 RPMs. That's what my drill is usually at. Now I'm coming in with my nipper and I'm going to nip my client's cuticles, making sure I'm not cutting my clients. You want to do this however you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable with getting close to your client's cuticles, don't do it. Just probably remove what's really in your way. But for me, I am very much comfy, so I'm just going to go ahead and remove all the excess. Even though I'm removing the excess, I'm not going as deep like I'm giving them a Russian manicure. It's just so my work looks neat. Now I'm coming in with my coffin tips. These coffin tips are from 876 Nails and the link will be in my description box for all the products that I'm using in this video. I'm going to measure my tips, making sure they fit from sidewall to sidewall. That way my nails have their full strength. You want to make sure that your nails fit from side to side. That way they don't break easily also. Whenever I'm measuring my tips, what I do is I measure for all 10 fingers, set them to the side, then I come in and glue the tips on. I don't put the glue then put the tips, no. I measure every tip, every nail, put them off to the side in their order, and then I come in and then I glue them on. So like I said before, those tips were coffin tips, so I'm not gonna have that much work to do when I'm shaping. So now that I'm done measuring my tips, I'm just gonna go ahead and get my KDS glue. I'm going to put the glue on my client's nail, then I'm going to glue the tips on. Whenever you're gluing your tips, you do not want to glue your tips halfway down your client's nail bed. You're just trying to glue your tips exactly at the free edge of the client's nail. You want to leave as much room or as much nail bed as possible to work on, because if you use up too much of your nail, you're not going to have that much space to work with. Whenever I'm gluing my tips, I make sure the tip is in line with my client's knuckles. That's the way that I get my tips to glue on straight. I do have a video with how I do that, so if you're looking to see how to get your tips on straight, I have a different video for that, which is already uploaded. Now I'm just gonna come in with my scissors and cut to my client's desired length. We're going to be doing a medium long set, so what I did, I cut the first nail, let her look at it, confirm the length, then I just go in and cut the rest of it. I make sure that I measure the tips side by side by aligning the cuticles together, and that's the way you're going to be able to see the length and making sure everything is in perfect length. Then for the thumb, I just estimate it and look at the rest of the fingers basically and guesstimate, and usually that does the work. So now I'm just gonna come in and cut the other hand, then I'm gonna go back and measure it to the first hand. What you can do is you can cut the second hand a tad bit longer than the first hand, and then you can come in and measure it with the first hand, and if you need to remove any excess you can go ahead and do so. But try not to make the second hand shorter than the first hand, because then you're going to have to go back on the first hand, which is the client's desired length, and cut it down to fit. So make sure that the second hand is always cut it on the safe side. So I'm gonna come in with my scissors and I'm just going to give this a quick pre-shape. And like I said, I think these were, no, I'm not even sure, because these were my square tips, not the coffin tips. Now that I'm looking at it, we didn't have square tips, coffin tips, so that's my bad. So I have to use like my square tips and then come in with my scissors and cut the shape. That's what I usually do. And then what I do after that, I come in with my hand file and I finish pre-shaping the nail. But I do use my scissors to get me like halfway through, and then come in with the hand file just to like refine everything. You want to make sure you're not eating out your side walls when you're shaping. You want to come from the where the nail starts, and then you want to come towards the tip of the nail. Try not to eat your sides out, because then you're going to be taking the strength away from the nail. Shape the sides and then you're going to go in and shape your free edge. We're going to be doing the same thing for the other nails. Come in, and this hand file that I'm using is a 100 grit hand file. Those are also in my description box as well. Before I start shaping, what I do is the new file, I rub it against a old file. That way I get some of the sharpness off of it, because the last thing you want to do is slice your clients. That is very, very painful. So if you have files and they're kind of sharp, just use a old file and rub it against the sides of the new hand file. That way you kind of take the sharps off of it. Also, whenever I'm shaping, I make sure that my client's hand is completely relaxed. You do not want to have your client's hand stiff, because then you're not going to be able to shape the nail properly. You need to have complete control over your client's hand at all time, and it needs to be relaxed, because when the hand is relaxed, the nail is going to go in its right direction. When it's stiff, it's hard to see the direction that it's going in, because if you file the nail and their fingers was like extremely stiff, then when the hand is relaxed, it's going to go in another direction. So you want to always make sure that your client's hand is completely relaxed. After I'm done shaping the nail, I'm just gonna come in quickly and blend the natural nail, blend the tips to the client natural nail. This way I'm going to have a smoother application. So I do not file the entire nail. I just blend where the tip and the natural nail meets to remove that excess ledge. That way my acrylic goes on nice and smooth. Then I'm just gonna dust all that excess nail, all the dust off, and come in with my dehydrator. Dehydrate the nail with lint-free wipes, and then after that I'm gonna come in with my primer and prime the nails. I'm going to also leave the link in the description where you can find this dehydrator and this primer. It has been working for me. I've been testing it and it works so far. So kudos to that. I'm excited to support her. So this is the primer that comes with the dehydrator as well. So all you need to do after you dehydrate, you come in and I put 1 coat of primer on it. You can also put 2 coats of primer, it's up to you, but 1 coat works for me. Whenever you're priming the nail, try not to put too much to flood the cuticles. Now I'm using Lemonade and I'm going to be using Coverage Nude. Lemonade is from my Island Vibes collection, and Coverage Nude is the perfect cover color if you're looking for like a better coverage. Then I'm also using my paper towel, my Viva paper towel. This is the cloth. You want to make sure you get in the cloth because the other one doesn't do the job properly. So whenever you get the Viva paper towel, make sure that it's marked cloth. I'm just going to use a napkin and remove all that dirty monomer. Put some fresh one. This is what I love the most about this monomer. You will not spill anything. So this right here is perfect because my monomer used to spill so much. Also, before I start working, I completely saturate my brush, get it nice and wet. So I did do the first hand, that's why my monomer looks like that. So I'm just gonna come in and do the second hand. So completely saturate your brush. You're gonna tap one time towards the client, opposite side, press and bounce. That's how you're gonna be able to pick up a perfect bead. This bead was a little too big, but I was just trying to show you guys how I pick up my bead. Look at the consistency of this powder, guys. It's super nice. For colored acrylics, I did extremely well. I'm loving it. And like I said before, this was a very big bead. I overdid this one, but y'all get the drift. So I placed my first bead down, making sure my client's finger is facing to the top, to the table, towards the paper towel. It needs to be pointing downward. That way the acrylic is going to naturally flow to the tip of the nail. If you have the nail straight, the acrylic is going to flow off to the side or back in the cuticles, and that's the last thing you want. So hold your client's finger downward. Coming in with my second bead, I'm going to place this just above the cuticle, press and release, and I'm just going to tuck all that acrylic in the cuticle, making sure the client's finger is downward as usual. I'm working very light, giving this very gentle tapping. Whenever you're working, you do not want to be too aggressive because then you're just going to make a mess or remove too much of your acrylic. So be very gentle with your application process. Let the acrylic do the work for you. All you need to do is guide and fix wherever you see needs to be fixed. Stop fixing what doesn't need to be fixed. So now I'm just going to come in with my clear powder, and I'm just going to do a thin coat just to give my acrylic some strength. Now I'm coming in one more time, placing that first bead right where the tip and the natural nail meets, patting it in the back. One thing when you're doing an ombre, you want to make sure the back of your bead is nice and flat. That way when you come in with your cover powder, you're going to have a very nice coverage. You're not going to be able to see where you started with your green. So that's why you need to make sure that you blend the back of the bead properly, because your ombre application will, the ombre result is going, that's going to determine. So finish blending, making sure you're cleaning up all your sidewall because you need to keep your shape. We did all that shaping in the beginning, and we want to make sure we are keeping the shape. This brush that I'm using is a number 12 brush, a number 12 Kolinsky brush. So definitely go ahead and get you one of these. So coming in with my ombre, I'm going to place this bead right towards the cuticle, and I'm just going to tuck it back in the cuticle. Whenever I'm blending or I'm doing an ombre, I make sure when I blend the ombre, I blend it while it's wet. That way the transition is going to be nice and smooth. You do not want that. You see how I place the nude? I'm not going to wait for the nude to dry up too much before I flush it. You see how when it's flushed, it's nice and wet. That way the transition is going to be super smooth. So don't let your acrylic dry on you because you don't want to see your streaks in your ombre. So now I'm coming in with my clear, and I'm going to encapsulate my design. You always want to encapsulate your ombre because when you come in to drill, you do not want to drill directly in your ombre. And like I said before, make sure you're cleaning up all your side walls. You do not want to leave any acrylic on your client's skin, because if you do, it's going to be very hard to remove it with the drill, or you can also have lifting from this. So make sure you're cleaning up your side wall and making sure you are using the belly of your brush as well to smooth your acrylic out. Completely saturate your brush whenever you are working. Do not just dip your brush halfway through or just put the tip of the brush in the monomer. Please completely saturate the brush, and then you remove the excess that you will not need. But you need to make sure that you dip all the brush in your acrylic powder. in your monomer. That way the brush is nice and saturated. Then you go ahead and remove the excess like I said before. For this design, I did come in from the cuticle, did a one bead method because I'm going to be putting some green in the corners of this one, and I'm going to be also using some gold flakes on this nail as well. This design came out super cute. I think we used like 3 different nail inspos and we came up with it with this design. And yeah, I was just doing like mix match stuff that I thought was gonna look good with it, and it did came out super cute. So I am so proud of the results. Y'all gonna see that in the end, or I'm sure you already see it on the top, on the front part. But yeah, these were super cute. So now I'm just gonna place my gold flakes. Whenever you're working with gold flakes, it will usually stick just with the monomer, or you can also use your clear powder to let the flakes stick properly. So if it's not sticking, just put like a wet bead of clear over it, and that's going to allow it to stay in place. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just gonna put some clear over it, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move on to the next finger and let that set up a little bit, because sometimes if you work over it while it's wet, the flakes can move. So I just do the next finger and then I come back to that finger and finish encapsulating it. So this nail, I'm going to place coverage nude right where the tip and the natural nail meets. All I'm doing to the acrylic is just guiding the acrylic. Look how I'm not playing in the acrylic. I'm just guiding it. Sometimes we overthink it, and that's what's causing most of the problem. Stop overthinking the work. The acrylic is literally doing all the work for you. All you need to do is hold your client's finger downwards. That way the acrylic flows to the tip. Be gentle and guide the acrylic, making sure you keep most of the acrylic where it's intended to be. One thing that I noticed, because I do nail classes as well, when you set the acrylic down, stop letting the acrylic flow all the way to the tip of the nail. If it's a cuticle bead, most of the beads should stay in the cuticle area. If it's an apex bead, most of the beads should stay in the apex area. Stop letting the cuticle bead come all the way to the tip. So now you're going to end up with a high tip, and then in the back is super flat. That's the last thing you want. The highest point of your nail need to be your apex. That's the highest point of the nail. You need to have your apex nice and strong, because if the client hits their nail, that's what's going to give your nail the strength. So sometimes we do the nails and it's super thin. Your client might text you 3 days later or a week later and tell you that one nail broke. That's maybe because your apex doesn't have enough. Sorry guys, my mom was calling me just now. Anyways, so yeah, your apex doesn't have as much strength, or it's not thick enough. That's the reason why your client's nail maybe it's breaking too fast. So yes, and like I said before guys, making sure you're cleaning up your sides and keeping the shape of your nail, that's very important, because you're going to save so much time from doing that. So this green, I want to talk about it because I'm biased. This is my favorite color from the Island Vibes collection. It's definitely a very nice summer color. So it's giving like, I don't know if anyone of you guys have what you call it, D&D lemon juice. That's what it's giving, the lemon juice from D&D. Super cute, and most of your clients, if they love bright colors, they're definitely going to be going for this color for the summer. It's such a summer vibe. So definitely you need to have lemon juice in your collection, and it looks good on every skin tone. Dark skin, it pops so much. I really loved it on this client, and she's super dark skin. Love it. It pops. So that's that for that. I'm just gonna let you guys watch the rest of the video, and then I'll be back when it's time to shape. Now I'm just gonna come in one more time with my 100 grit hand file, and I'm just going to shape the nail. I don't have a lot of shaping to do because I was cleaning up my sides and making sure I am controlling my acrylic. So most of the acrylic is in place. All I need to do now is come in and refine the nail. Whenever I'm shaping, I make sure that I hold the file up against the nail and give the file like firm stroke. You got to stroke the nail with some power in it. You can't be too soft. Don't eat the side of your nail out. You want to start just where I'm placing my file on the side, just above like where the side wall starts. That's where you want to place your file. Look at my angle. My file is not straight down in the sidewall. It's off to the side and then towards the tip of the nail, and I make sure I hold my file up against the nail. Before you start filing, you should be able to see the shape that you're going for. So when you place your file on the nail, look at how it's shaping. Look at that. Can you guys see the file up against the nail? You can already see the shape, how it's looking, and if the file is up against the nail. That's very important. You want to make sure that the file is completely up against the nail, and that's when you're going to give it firm strokes, making sure everything is nice and tight. And please make sure you get underneath as well, because if you have any kind of hang nail, this is going to reflect on top on the shape as well. So you need to make sure that you get underneath as well, because sometimes we think the shape is off and we continuously file the sides and the front, not knowing we just need to clean up underneath. Also, make sure that the hand file that you're using is not dull. You want to make sure your file is nice and sharp. That way you're not going to be filing all day. You want to make sure that you hold your hand from the client's hand from the client's view, and look at your shape and go over it one more time. Fix anything that needs to be fixed. This is a very good angle to look at your client's nail, because you see everything that they will be seeing for the next 3 weeks. So now I'm coming in at 21,000 RPMs, and I'm just going to drill with my medium drill bit, going around the cuticle area, making sure I seal the nail, making sure I'm getting in my sides, because if you do not seal the nail is going to lift very easy. So you want to make sure that you seal your client's nail. That way water doesn't get underneath, or sometimes we prep the nail properly, but we're still wondering why we have lifting. If you don't seal your nail properly, you're still going to have lifting. How I hold my drill, I hold my drill like I am writing, like I'm holding a pen, making sure my pinky finger is placed on either my hand or the client hand. But you want to make sure that your pinky finger stays as a guide. This is going to help you to keep your drill stable. So make sure you have your pinky finger resting, and your pinky finger should follow you everywhere you go. Watch different YouTube videos, see how different people are working, and you're going to be able to, maybe will be uncomfortable in the beginning, but you want to keep doing it, because you're going to have to end up doing it anyways. So just practice to do it, because if you don't use your pinky, you can lose control of the drill very, very easy. I'm gonna go over the shape one more time because sometimes after we finish drilling, the shape might shift a little bit. So I'm just gonna go over my shape one more time, making sure everything is nice and neat before we start the design. You always want to make sure you double check your work after you finish drilling. That way, you know, you don't have to do this when the design is on, then you notice that you have some errors. So make sure everything is nice and tight, neat, before we go in with any type of design. And guys, make sure you're liking the video. Please hit that like button right now if you haven't done so as yet. Go ahead and hit that like button. And like you can see, I'm going in one more time, looking at it from the client's view, making sure everything is nice and neat. Then we're gonna come in with some designs. I am using the Macart glue for my stones. Any type of stone that I use or charms, I use my Macart glue to hold it down. It works very, very good. So if you're looking for a good stone glue, you definitely need to check this out. Most of my clients, they do come back with their charms on. So I highly recommend this glue. What I do whenever I'm doing a 3D flowers, I place my stones first, and then the 3D is the last thing I do on top. So what I'm gonna do on this nail, I'm going to put some stones throughout the nail, making like a swirl out of these rhinestones. And then I'm gonna come in, place my 3D stones where I'm gonna be placing my flowers, and then cure that. Then I'm gonna come back again, top coat it, then I put my 3D flowers on top, because in the past I used to do my 3D first and then I top coat, but then the top coat will get on the 3D and then it doesn't give it that nice 3D effect. So I stopped doing it. I just do my 3D last. That way I don't have to deal with the top coat getting in the way. These that I'm using to pick up the stones, most people have them. Like if you order any type of rhinestone or anything, you'll usually get like pencils like these, or you know, you have a lot of things that you can find on Amazon or anything that picks up stones very, very nice. So this is not hard to find. On the pinky finger, I'm going to put these gold strips, one strip like down the center of the nail. So what I do is I use my tweezer, lift the strip up, then I just use my nipper or anything that you think is going to give you a good grip. Place it, then I press that part down, that way it doesn't move, and then I just stretch it down the nail. and just pop it. It's just gonna pop off if you apply pressure on it. If there's any excess, I use my nipper and remove the rest of it. So what I'm gonna do at this cuticle, I'm going to place rhinestones. That way, I'm just trying to tie the design together. And like you see, whenever I apply my strips, I kind of press it down. That way it's going to last longer on my client's nail. Whenever I do any work, any type of design, whenever I'm applying anything I'm doing, I'm always trying my best to do it in a way where it's going to last long, because if I'm going to be charging my clients for something, I want to make sure that it's lasting long. I'm not stingy with my glue, or some people, they're stingy with everything, but then they want to charge big money. If you're going to charge big money, at least your work needs to be lasting long. On this ring finger, I'm just going to apply some rhinestones around the cuticle. As you can see, my glue is already there, so I'm just going to come in and place some rhinestones around the cuticle area. Now I'm gonna come in and do my 3D flowers. What I do notice when doing 3D flowers, you have to work with it dry, and you can't really rush it too much, because sometimes I do pick the bead up and it's kind of runny, so I just let it sit there for a little while and then I mold it. So I let it sit before I mold it. Maybe I just go ahead and do something else, put the next petal down, then I come back to the first one and I mold it. I also sometimes put acetone in my monomer. If you put acetone in your monomer, the powder will set faster. But this time I didn't do it. I was just working with it as is. But as you can see, it molded super, super nice. I love it. My 3D flowers are definitely getting better. And I can't wait. You guys are on my 3D journey with me, because I'm coming from very, very far with 3D with 3D flowers. So, I just keep going. And what I do when my clients come in, I offer them 3D flowers. That way I could get some practice. But my 3Ds are super cute now. I'm loving it. Loving, loving, loving it. And this 3D brush is from glitterbels. My friend gave this brush to me actually. So it works super good. I don't have any problems with it so far. It's been doing the job. So yeah, this design was super cute. I'm loving it, loving it. I'm gonna try to leave the link in the description box for this 3D brush. And what I noticed too, even when I'm doing 3D work, I use my pinky finger to help me keep the brush stable or anything that I need to do. done with all my designs, I'm gonna come in with this top coat, and I'm going to top coat all the nail. Whenever you're top coating, you don't want to use too much, but you want to make sure it's not too little. You want to make sure you have complete coverage. That way, you know, your nail doesn't have, if you top coat your nail and you didn't pick up enough, it's going to look streaky and ugly. So you want to make sure your brush have enough top coat on it. That way you have a nice coverage. But this is the final results. I hope you guys hit that like button and consider subscribing to my channel if you're not yet subscribed. But go ahead and hit that notification bell as well. That way whenever I upload more videos, you're going to be the first to see it. Thank you guys so much for supporting 876 Nails, and one big up on yourself. Until next time, and make sure you guys go ahead and get this green. It's now on sale until Mother's Day. That's the final results. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye.